Well, you know what they say, every great thing needs a sequel. Or 15. A New Hope has The Empire Strikes Back. Twilight has New Moon. Jaws 3D has Jaws the Revenge. American Psycho has... oh, well, forget about that one. But anyway, the point is, if something's good, or at least made a shitload of money, then you can bet your left nut it's getting a sequel. And the same goes for video games. Which brings us to... ta-da! Yep, you don't get to be considered one of the best platformers on PlayStation and not expect to get a sequel, so let's just dive right in. So just like its predecessor, Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, or Gateway to Glimmer to us lowly trogs in the PAL regions, was developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Computer Entertainment in 1999. The Sheep Slaughterer and his butterfly gobbling bestie are back. Sick of the lousy ass weather in the Artisan region, Spyro and Sparks decide to take a vacation to Dragon Shores, but that's gonna have to wait cause the portal fucks up and they end up in the land of Avalar instead, where they meet the Professor and Princess Allura. And whoa, man, just look at those cloven hooves. You just know she ended up in some furry boy's wank bank back in the day. Hell, just look at her in the fucking reignited version. Fuck, you can bet there's some parts of the internet where you really don't want to search her name. And then there's Hunter. And yeah, disregard everything I just said about Allura. If the furries are going to be beating themselves off over anyone, it's this guy. So anyway, it turns out the Professor fucked around with the portal to bring through a dragon to help them fight against the evil Ripto who's been causing trouble, and looks like what you'd get if you crossbred Donald Trump with Ethel Phillips from Dinosaurs. So there's your story. These three have essentially kidnapped you and won't let you get to your vacation until you've dealt with Trumposaurus and his boys, because they're too fucking pussy to do it themselves. And the award for best story in video games goes to... So as you'd expect, the format here is pretty much the same as in the previous game. You play as the little purple shape eater and go through various levels across multiple hub worlds. There's no dragons to rescue this time, instead you're after the talismans and the orbs. You get the talismans by reaching the ends of levels, and the orbs by completing various other objectives within each level. The talismans are used to unlock the hub worlds, and the orbs are used to unlock some of the levels within them. So seeing as we're following on from the first game, it's no surprise that we have pretty much the same abilities as before. You can run around and jump and glide, you can dash to move faster, break open containers, smash through obstacles and take out enemies, and you can breathe fire to burn enemies and more poor innocent animals, as well as break open some other containers. But for some reason they took out the dodge roll. Just why? Why did they do that? That actually came in useful in the first game for avoiding enemies and projectiles. I just find it weird that they would take something so simple and useful like that away for the sequel. Hell, they even brought it back for all three games in the reignited version. Yeah, nothing game destroying, just a minor annoyance. But in place of that, we do have some new abilities. Spyro can swim now, both on the surface and underwater, and it actually controls pretty well. At least it's not like in Croc where it feels like you're piloting a fucking nuclear submarine. You can also hover by pressing the triangle button while gliding, which lets you get a bit of extra height and makes it easier to glide to hard to reach areas. You also acquire a couple other abilities as you progress. You can learn to climb up certain walls and head bash, which lets you smash open some rocks and containers. But how do you acquire these abilities? Well, that brings us to another new character, and probably the ultimate embodiment of greed and late stage capitalism in gaming, fictional at least, Moneybags. Seriously, if you took every greedy landlord, grifter and corporate shill and rolled them all into one, this is probably what you'd get. You'll meet this monocle wearing motherfucker at various points throughout the game, always ready to impede your progress, unless you cough up the required number of gems. But joking aside, Moneybags does kinda remind me of a few certain individuals who don't really care that the world's burning just so long as they can keep making more money than they'll ever need. I mean, Ripto's taken over fucking Avalar and Spyro's the only one who can stop him, and this greedy fucker's still happy to stand in your way, all to make a quick buck off the ensuing calamity. Anyway, at least Moneybags gives you something to spend your hard-earned gems on, as well as a reason to collect them in the first place. That was a complaint I had with the first game. You're going around collecting all these gems, but you never actually do anything with them, so there's not much reason to, except to move between a couple of the homeworlds. These abilities you don't get until later in the game, but there's parts where you need them earlier on, so this is another game where you won't be able to complete some things the first time you do a level, and you'll have to come back later if you want to get 100% completion. In addition to these new abilities, you also have the power-up gates. These appear in each level and provide you with brief but powerful abilities such as Super Flame, Supercharge and Invincibility. To get access to these abilities, you first have to defeat a certain number of enemies within the level in order to activate them. These did appear in a lesser form in some levels of Spyro 1, although they're more widespread here, meaning they have a greater impact on the gameplay overall. Spyro's health functions exactly the same as before. Once again, Sparks serves as his health meter, his colour representing how much health you have left. To replenish your health, just torch or gore a poor innocent animal, and then Sparks will devour its soul. Way to go, Spyro. Turn up in a strange land and immediately start destroying the wildlife. They're really gonna love you. So the basic gameplay is structured pretty much the same as in the previous game. You choose a level and then make your way to the end, defeating enemies and collecting gems along the way. When you reach the end, you get a talisman, and then you can return to the home world. But there's more to these levels than in Spyro the Dragon. The levels in that game did have more areas to explore in addition to the main path, but all that really amounted to was collecting more gems and freeing more dragons, so they didn't really add much to the gameplay overall. But in Spyro 2, each level also contains several secondary objectives and mini-games to complete. These are how you obtain the orbs, so you will have to complete them in order to progress through the game. Each level has 2 or 3 secondary objectives, and there's actually quite a bit of variety here. If you saw my previous review, which of course you did, I mean, what are you kidding me, that video set the whole fucking internet on fire, then you'll know that my biggest complaint with Spyro the Dragon was that, while the gameplay was fun, it did get a bit repetitive after a while. But the secondary objectives in Spyro 2 pretty much completely remedy that. I mean, you've got timed challenges, some puzzles, some collecting challenges, mini-games like hockey.
We have found that hockey is a peaceful and calming sport.
And even the thieves make a return, of course, the motherfuckers. The speedways are back as well, and just as nut-crushingly difficult as before. They play out pretty much the same. You've got 4 sets of collectibles you've got to get within the time limit. Every time you collect something, you get a second or 2 added back on. Like last time, you can choose the order in which you tackle the speedway, but it still seems like there really is only one true order for doing them. One way to do it within the time limit, and if you try any other, you'll probably fail. The flight controls are still pretty good, and even the speedways have secondary objectives now. Usually some kind of on rails bit where you've got to collect or hit things as they go by. Nothing too difficult. Honestly, the hardest thing about them is finding the fuckers. A few of them had me searching around all over the place for the character who gives you them. So anyway, you go around completing levels and collecting talismans and orbs, and then you unlock the next world. But before you can go there, you first have to take on one of Ripto's minions. Yep, we've got our first boss fight. And it's actually a fight, where the character has something to do with the story, instead of just a regular level where you're chasing some random guy. So that's another step up from the previous game, but even then this is still a pretty standard boss. You've just got to avoid his attacks and get close enough to flame him. Doing that makes him go apeshit and bang his club, which then causes the roof to cave in on him. Do that a few times and there you go. I guess you can say Crush got crushed. So you beat Crush and banish Ripto from Summer Forest. But it's still not over because he's set up shop in Autumn Plains and you've got to turf him out of there now. Same as before, you've got more levels to beat and more talismans and orbs to collect. So this seems like a good place to talk more about the gameplay. Spyro controls pretty much the same as in the previous game, although it does actually feel slightly better, like they tightened the controls up a little. I don't know, all I know is that Spyro feels easier to control here, so it's a win in my books. Although of course, we are still on PS1, so the controls still aren't perfect, and it can still be a little annoying to get Spyro facing in the exact direction you want him to go. But hey, progress is progress, right? As far as I can tell, the graphics are pretty much the same, although you can't really expect that much of an improvement given this was only a year after the first game. Yeah, yearly sequels that actually have significant changes and improvements over their predecessors. Man, those were the days. Although, looking now, the environments do appear to be a little more detailed here than in the previous game, so that's something. And I actually forgot to mention in the last video that the character models are pretty impressive for the time. I mean, it's probably because the characters aren't human, but how many PS1 games do you know where they actually move their lips when they talk, and it doesn't feel like you're talking to a fucking possessed mannequin? There's probably others, but I think this is the first one I've seen so far when I've been looking back at these old games. I will say that this game is a bit more challenging than the previous one. Some of the secondary objectives, particularly later on, can be pretty difficult, like the one in Fracture Hills where you've got to escort the alchemist past the Earthshapers, which wouldn't be so bad if the daft old fucker didn't walk right fucking into them. What the fuck, man? So once you beat all the levels in Autumn Plains, you get another boss fight, this time with Gulp. This fight's less straightforward than the last. Your fire breath will get you nowhere with this great load of fuck. Instead you've got to use the various projectiles that drop from the ceiling, flaming and charging them into him to do damage. But you've got to be quick, because if the fucker gets to them first, he can use them on you. Anyway, you beat him, and it looks like that's the end of Ripto. Autumn Plains is free, and Spyro can finally relax. I guess you could say gulp. Got gulped. In Winter Tundra, the professor has finally figured out how to send Spyro home, but... Oh shit. Ripto's back, and he means business this time, having bought some bombs from Moneybags. The motherfucker's selling weapons to the enemy now. He's just gone full war profiteer at this point. Anyway, Ripto nicks the gem they were going to use to send Spyro home, and then holds himself up in the castle. Looks like that vacation's going to have to wait even longer now. So in order to storm the castle, you need to collect at least 40 orbs. There's no more talismans to get, so from here on out completing levels gives an orb instead. Which I don't really get. Until now the talismans were supposed to be the main collectible, but now you don't need them, for reasons that are never really explained. Why? That's like if 2/3 of the way through the previous game they were just like, oh, you don't need to rescue the dragons anymore, now you just need to collect the dragon eggs. Why not just let you keep collecting talismans? Or make the orbs the main collectible of the game? I don't know, just another little thing that I found strange. That and the video needed padding out a little. But anyway, the levels are structured in pretty much the same way as in Spyro 1. You've got a pretty straightforward path to the end, and then there's a few extra areas where you'll encounter the secondary objectives. I did find the levels here a little easier to navigate. There were a couple times in the first game where I was truly stumped on where to go next. I even had to look up a walkthrough a couple times. I never encountered anything like that in Spyro 2. The level design has also improved. I feel that the levels here have a bit more character and are more distinct from one another. Each level has its own self-contained story and characters. These have no bearing on the main story, but do serve to make each level feel a bit more unique and memorable. And speaking of the main story, while it's certainly not the greatest story in gaming, not that it has to be, I do appreciate that the developers made an effort to make it a bit more complex and interesting, expanding Spyro's world and giving us more characters with more clearly defined personalities. There's a clear, albeit simple structure here, with actual stakes that ultimately make for a more compelling story, and makes you feel more invested in stopping Ripto, which I just didn't feel when going after Nasty Nork. Another thing I wanted to quickly bring up was the fact that while overall it's a bright and harmless game meant for kids, it can have a pretty dark and at times macabre sense of humour that admittedly will probably fly over most kids' heads, but I still couldn't help but notice. Yeah, there's loads of times where we see characters meeting horrific fates, whether it's falling into lava or getting crushed, all of it played for laughs. Yeah, just a pretty weird contrast. So anyway, once you've got enough orbs, you unlock the castle and can finally face Ripto, and in contrast to Spyro 1's final fight, which can safely be described as underwhelming, this is actually a pretty decent fight. It wasn't too difficult, but it did take a couple attempts. Flaming and charging them doesn't work, instead you've got to use the orbs you've collected. The orbs drop down in red, blue or green, and you've got to collect 3 before you can use them. The colour of the third orb you pick up determines the attack. Red gives you a super flame attack, green lets you fire fucking bombs or some shit, and blue gives you a supercharge. These abilities are only temporary, and you'll only have enough time to hit Ripto once or twice before they run out, and you have to collect more. Of course, Ripto can also pick them up, and when he gets 3, he gets special attacks to use on you, but you can stop him from grabbing the orbs by flaming or charging him, which stuns him for a second. Once you drop all his health, you enter the second stage of the fight, where Ripto conjures up a robot Gulp to help him. There's not much to say here, you just have to do the same as before. Once you drop his health again, you enter the third and final stage of the fight, and this is where it gets hard because Ripto's now flying on a giant fucking bird or a pterodactyl or something. Fucking pterodactyls. And the floor's now turned into fucking lava, or molten pizza margarita topping. Oh, I want pizza now. You've now got both the super fly and super flame abilities and have to hit Ripto before he hits you, which was surprisingly difficult, because turns out Ripto's pretty fucking accurate, so you're too busy dodging his shots to get a clear shot at him. Out of all the times I died, it was mostly during this bit, and of course if you get killed here then you've got to start right back at the beginning again. Thanks guys. Anyway, you finally beat him and holy shit, he just nosedived straight into the fucking lava! Damn, they went full hardcore here. Not only does Ripto get killed, but we also get to see him slowly burn to death in fucking lava. Man, Spyro's one ruthless motherfucker. So with Ripto vanquished, they all live happily ever after. Avalar is free and Spyro can finally get to his vacation. But there's still one matter left to deal with. You! Moneybags, you son of a bitch! Give me my fucking gems! That's right, as a reward for saving Avalar, Moneybags is made to give back all the gems he extorted from you. And too fucking right, considering the fuckers practically kidnapped you in the first place. Finally, a story where the greedy capitalist pig loses. Return the wealth to the people. That's what I always say. Or, return it to me at least. So that's Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage. And in conclusion, this is how you do a sequel. Building upon the already strong foundations of its predecessor, the game improves upon it in virtually every way. All of the complaints I had with the first game have been addressed. The repetitiveness of the original is mitigated by the secondary objectives and minigames that are fun and varied. The boss fights are actually fights this time, the story's better, and the world is more detailed. I honestly have very little that I can fault it on, apart from some very minor nitpicks. Like I said, this is how to make a sequel, by improving upon what worked in the previous game, and not taking it away and replacing it with shit. Yeah, you know I'm talking about you, the world's not enough, fucking up the inventory system, I'm still not over that shit! But anyway, Spyro 2 is a fantastic game that's just as enjoyable now as it was all those years ago, and a worthy sequel to one of the most beloved titles on PS1. It truly is The Empire Strikes Back to Spyro the Dragon's A New Hope, and I don't think there's any better praise I can give it than that. Well, that's 2 down, only 1 left to go. Thank you for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed. As usual, if you did, then please like and subscribe. If you didn't, then tell me to go fuck myself, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one, where we're going to be taking a look at the final installment in the original Spyro trilogy. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to play another game with dragons in it. I've just about had enough of you, you fucking piece of shit cocksucker! Fuck you! Or go fuck yourself, you piece of shit! You motherfucker! Oh, for fuck's sake, man! I'm getting so fucking sick of this now! Oh, fuck off, man! I fucking swear to Christ, you motherfucking son of a bitch!